Sorry about that. All right, let's get started. Oh, wrong screen. Holy hell, where am I? There we go. It's been a little while. I don't have that light on, but that's perfectly fine. It's not light enough in here for the moment. We'll turn it on later. All right, welcome back, everyone. I've just had a little hiatus. Needed to get a lot of work done. I'm now back. Socks is also back too. She wants treats. If you can't tell by her meow, her demands. So yeah, she's currently over by the window. There she is. Bit lazy, not coming over here for the treats, but she will come over here. Hopefully everyone's going well. All right, let's jump straight into it. So what I'm going to do, and I've had a think about this design and stuff like that. I think I'm jumping a little too far by putting in colors and stuff like that. So I'm going to strip out the colors for the moment. We're just going to deal with wireframe. This is okay over here with just the blue and stuff like that. We're going to strip everything back down to its basics, and we're going to keep a wireframe of this. I'm going to change a few things around this, and then yeah, we'll figure it out from there. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've actually jumped into this code, so I'm just gonna give me a couple of seconds. Socks, we're over here. We open up new project. We've got the text input component. Yeah, we've ended up doing I've been using a Mac all day, so I have just done something really silly. Socks, can you not step on the mouse, please? Alright. There we go, I've got the chat back up. I want to go to this particular component. Oops, not implement. I want to go to the declare or usage. Alright, cool. So this is a text input component, and what we want to do is we're just getting rid of the background color. We don't care. It's just as simple as that. And when we focus on it, I'm going to get rid of that too. building this? We should be building this. Alright, I did border color, not background color. Alright, we'll get rid of both of those for the moment. That's perfectly fine. We do actually have a blue thing around it. We'll be having a look at how we can improve that later. So another thing which I kind of want to do, so I want to deal with the new project header. So in the new project, we've got the card header in here, and we're just passing through a title. I feel like we can put more information in there. However, we've just hit our first ad break. I'm just going to go right here. Hey everyone, I still have not got myself a better webcam. At least you can't tell how balding I am with this webcam because it blurs everything out. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. So yeah, hopefully everyone's going well. We are joined once again with Socks here today. There she is, causing trouble. Don't know why she's standing over there. She just is today. All right, cool. We've got about 50 seconds left of the ads. For those on YouTube wondering what's happened, we run ads on Twitch. That's just to stop the pre-rolled ads because the pre-rolled ads suck. Absolutely suck. Yeah. And we tend to just pause stream whilst it's happening. So yeah, you don't get ads on YouTube, don't worry. Some people don't get ads on Twitch for a number of reasons, for example, Turbo or subscribed or anything like that. Don't worry. All right, we've got about 20 seconds left of the ads and then we'll jump right back into it. So yeah, I'm hoping to get the design done for at least the new templates because that will sort of dictate what's going to happen next. I just want everything laid out correctly. I had a really good think about it on the weekend and I'd play around with a few other sort of designs and I'm going back and forth how I want it. Anyway, we're back. Welcome back everyone. So the card header itself, thank you Socks, try not to sit on the keyboard again. At the moment, we've just got the div card header, and that's perfectly fine. So if we go over here, we right-hand click and we inspect this. I'm going to move that off to the left. You can see that we've just got the card header in here like this. Yeah, let's play around with that, and yeah, let's add some more stuff in there. So we'll have the header, but I'm also thinking we could have a subheader or anything like that. So I'm going to say subtitle. It's going to be type of string. Required is just going to be false. Default is just going to be that. And what we want to do is we just want to do something down here. Oh, and thank you very much for the follow, VZ 0011. Welcome, I do hope you are enjoying my content. At work right now, but I'll pull up with a crew for your next stream. Sure. Anyway, welcome. All right. So what I want to do is I just want to add in, not really a subtitle. It's more of a description. Or any extra content. I'm going to leave it as a description. If we change our name later, if we change it later, it's easy to fix. It's just going to be down here. So what we want to do is we don't want to do an O. We want to do a P, and then all we need to do is props.description, like so, and then we just props.description does not equal nothing. That's all we need to do in there. If it's nothing, we won't render it out onto the screen. Easy, done. Everyone's happy at the end of the day. Now we do need to go down here. We do need to put in our lovely P tag down here. I've been also having another sort of think. I'm gonna get rid of probably all the reference to the pixels and I'll probably use REM or something like that. I haven't made up my mind yet. I will eventually make up my mind. Now, that's very small. That's, sorry, you guys probably can't see that, so I'll do that. That title is probably very, very small. I'm going to enlarge it. So I'm probably going to pick 26. I'm going to read up a little bit more on design around the fonts and sizings and all that kind of stuff. I did actually purchase something a couple of years ago. I'm just going to go through and read it. In there, they've got recommendations around fonts and sizes and weights and pulling people's focus and so forth like that. Another day. So I'm going to go font size down here. I'm just going to go, let's say 14 pixels. We'll start there. And then font weight, we're going to go lighter for the moment. That should be it. And then in the new project, what I actually want to do is I want to get rid of that. Create your new project. And then description. I had a couple of ideas around this. Fill in the details below to start your new project. All right, something like that. I think, what was our linter again? Ah, no. All right, that was my bad. I don't know if I'm still streaming. All right, I have definitely done something. Sorry, I locked my screen. Stream capture. All right, cool. Select monitor. We want this bottom one. We're gonna go share. We're gonna go. All right. Cool. Come back from. I have to do it at least once a month. Destruction. So we're going to go back over here. As you see, everything's pretty happy. We're going to deal with the buttons in a minute. But we've got the card header. I know I can do a lint over here. If we do npm run lint. Yeah, I know. All right, cool. npm run dev. Got to fix those things, but that's fine. Oh, it doesn't fix that. All right. How was it? It wasn't. Oh, that's my problem. I've got to get myself a new keyboard soon. There we go. I don't have the Mac bindings. That's why I locked the screen. All right, so we've got description, fill out all of that. So we've got this, create your new project. We kind of want that in bold. So I'm just gonna go over here. I'm gonna go down here. We're going to, instead of normal, we're gonna go bolder. Make sure it's the boldest one possible. And there we go, create your new project. And then we've got the lightest weight down there. And then we've got a decent sort of size in between all of those, a decent sort of spacing in between all of those. For the moment, I'm happy with that. Fill out the details below to start your new project. And then I kind of like how these are sort of laid out. It's basic, simple sort of design at the moment, but that's kind of what we want. Yeah, we want to be able to have this working like there's no tomorrow. Just having a think how this actually looks. I'm going to look at the big screen. I know you can't see the whole thing, even if I do that. All right, cool. Add something quick and easy. And we've got it like that. And then I just got to deal with the button. All right, cool. So I'm just going to go over here. And what we want to do is, we do want to keep the button in here like this. All right. Having a quick think about this. Okay, so I've got two options. One, I could do the button here, expand it out, do all the CSS and so forth like that. However, I'll be doing that everywhere else, where a lot of the buttons are very, very generic. And I'm pretty sure we can admit up stuff, which we need to test. So my thought is, with the second one, is create our own sort of button components, and that way we style it once, everything's all in one sort of spot. We can add functionality in that's optional for other places, and so forth like that. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. It's simple, it's easy, and we can do this very, very quickly. So I'm just having a quick think also. Now, currently at the moment in NearBeach, the instant you hit a button, a little toast will pop up telling you the sort of state of that object. So if you're on slow internet and you create, let's say, a project or something like that, a little orange toast will pop up and be like, hey, yeah, we're just creating it, please wait, and so forth like that. I've been getting some feedback. Essentially, toasts aren't that useful in that sort of case, because your focus is over on the button itself. So what I want to do is I want to implement a state functionality, so that when someone clicks on, let's say, a button or something like that, the state will change, saying, hey, we're currently saving, and then that is fed back to the user right away. And at the same time, because of where that state is, we can disable the button automatically. And if we do this in a component itself, we can reuse that component everywhere, which will be kind of awesome. And I'm just currently thinking, if we were to do that with the states and stuff like that, yeah, we want to disable all those other buttons at the same time too. So give me 2 seconds. I will give you an example. Oh, I need to log in. All right. Give me a couple of secs. Sorry. All right, let's go. Let's log in. Let's go authenticate. Under all of my authentications, I don't know where it is. There it is. Oh yeah, that Kanban board I can show. All right, cool. Coming back to this. So another thing is, at the moment, if we were on slow internet and I clicked save and continue, you guys can't actually see that pop up, so I'll do that very, very quickly. If I do save and continue, you'll notice that there was a little flash of that orange toast and stuff like that. Now, if someone were on slow internet, they could click that button, then click that button, then click that button, then click that button, and essentially you're sending 4 different things to the back end and all that kind of stuff. I think having it as a component and then passing down the object state into this is going to work wonders. So let's do that. So we're here. Socks, I'm sorry, but you are in the way over there. I'm going to move you over here. There we go. Yes, you can clear me. All right, give me 2 seconds. I am just going to do, no, you stay there. Oops, we don't want to. There we go. She complained the other day when I put my arm on her tail. She got really upset. It's like, well, stop putting your tail there. All right, so we've got the renderer. Oh yeah, we've got the renderer, we've got the text input. So I'm gonna create a new folder and I'm gonna call it buttons. I'm gonna right hand click, we're gonna go new, we're gonna add in, oops, not one of those. We're going to add in a new view file. We're going to call it button component. And it's just going to be compositional, and that's perfectly fine. In here, we're just going to have button for the moment. Up here, we're going to have const props equals define props. We're going to have text. That's going to be type of string. Required is going to be true. I'm not going to default this whatsoever. This needs to be required. Now, we also need the state. So there's not going to be default with that. We also need the state. Now, this is where it's going to be an enum. I don't know how to set this up. So we've got const, let's say form, login, sign up, we've got password. All right, cool. Hang on, let's go straight down here. So import ternary status from, all right, cool. My class view, my variable ternary status equals to status. All right, cool. Started. So I'm just finding out how to do this properly. All right, cool. Going down here, import status from return status. No. I want to set up the status. Is that how they're? All right, cool. All right. Okay. VueJS props use enum. All right, cool. Let's figure this out. How to expect to pass enums as a component property. So we've got enum default color. Yep. All right, cool. So that's kind of what we want. Div color, define props. This is in the old way. Component prop type value is restricted to built-in constructors and custom classes. Damn. All right. TS enums are not classes, but objects with specific types that can't be used as type. It should likely be color as. All right. So we're going to go and read the documentation. All right. So we're on the composition. Let's go a num on here. No, we can't. All right. Let's go search. Let's go enum. All right. Two refs. Well, aren't you going to clean me more? All right. She's just walking away. Okay. I'm not going to worry for the moment. Let's just move on. And what I want to do, props.text in here. We want to make sure everything's done like that. Oops. And then down here, we want to do button. Yep, cool, like that. I'm just going to go background color. And then I'm just doing that for the moment. Oh, we haven't set this up yet. So what we need is button component. I'm going to do it something like that. Now we could pass through the slot information instead of having text, which might be better. However, that being said, I do say that there's a possibility that it might not be. Because what we could potentially do here is we could do something like that. Very simple, very, very easy. And we've got a complaint about this being like, yeah, I know. We've got text, we'll change it. Labels a bit better. All right, easy done. So, what fur socks? Just having a quick think. I like that little create project, create a new project, fill in the details below before you start. Yeah, all right, cool. I'm going to need to have to deal with that button in a second, but we'll go tailwind CSS form. And we'll have a look flow byte because this has been really, really nice to look at. We'll expand that. All right, cool. They've got a submit down here where button white text, yeah, and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm having a look at the padding. They've got 2.5. I'm going to go padding. I'm going to go 1 rem for the moment. We'll fix this up. We'll go color. We'll go var. We'll go primary. That means background primary. We don't have background primary, do we? Give me a minute. I am gonna double check all this. So underscores, we've got assets, we've got the CSS, we have the variables in here. We've got the background dark, we've got the background. It's just background. All right, but do we have primary? We do actually have primary in here. We should be using. See, that's a little too light. I'll show you what I mean in about 2 seconds. So if we go back into the button component and background color, we're just going to go primary because it's the primary button. And then in here, we're just going to go text. If we go back over here and we go into here and we hit refresh. Oh, we didn't pick up that text. I think I know why. I don't know. Yeah, it's using the dark mode at the moment. Which text should be white. All right, that's a bit weird. Let's go back into the button. I know why. got a semicolon at the end. All right, let's redo this. Oh, it's not doing it again. So primary and then text. All right. Now the one problem is, do we have dark mode on? It doesn't look like we do. So I'm just going to go have a look at the variables. We've got primary, we've got that lighter color, and yeah, we've got the darker color. Alright. Whereas this should be... These should be swapped around. Because it's the root. Alright, cool. Give me a couple of seconds. I am... We want from primary all the way up there. I'm just going to copy, I'm cheating, I know. And then what we want to do is we want to cut that from there. We'll go down here. We want to paste all of that in. We just want to do that. Oh, not delete everything. All right, cool. There we go. Let's lint to make sure everything's correct. Let's go back over here. Done. I also need to handle that border too. Now, I like the borders and all of this. I don't think I like the padding like that, but once again, we're going to fix this up. We're going to trial out one thing. So we're going to go 0.1 rem for the top and bottom, and then 1 rem there. We're also going to go border, and that's going to be something like that. So we've got a border. Maybe. All right. Oh, that's meant to be border radius. There we go. So we got something like that. I don't mind that. That's actually pretty cool. All right, cool. We don't have any feedback when it gets clicked. So what we need to do is we need to deal with that click. In the CSS, if I bump this off to the left, we've just clicked on the button. What I want to do, no, not that. We also want to do one when there is a hover over it too. So we want to do, I think it's and hover. I'm just going to go like that. That's just a test. If we move that to the right, no, it isn't doing that. All right, let's have a look in my code what I've got. File mask. Okay, so where I've done it, all right, cool. It might not need the and there. I think it's going to be like that. Just gonna refresh just in case. All right, cool. Just gonna click on this. I'm going to double check to see if we have any hovering. We currently do. Sorry, I should show you what I'm doing. I'm having a look at the code, the CSS itself. And hey, G-Bowen, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Haven't been able to stream for a while, nor have I been able to watch Twitch. I've just been that busy. So yeah, how have you been? I'm just gonna do this, and let's do background color hot pink. Alright, so whenever it gets hovered over, so if I undo that, yeah, it is working like that, so I've screwed up somewhere. Let's say I've got to do that. No. Give me a couple of secs. I'm just having a look at how I set everything up again. So in here, CSS, post CSS plugins, nesting. All right, so post CSS nesting. You're okay, long days and weeks. Yeah, I know that at the moment, yes. Getting stuff done in the meantime. Oh, nice, nice. How's your streaming going? Alright, so I'm just going to scroll all the way down. So, nesting rules, true. Oh, I think that's all the config and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and they've got the ampersand hover, but I had spaces. That might be breaking it. Haven't been able to stream. Fair enough. Fair enough. You're talking to me. I fully understand that. Aha! That was it. I had a space in before. So there we go. It changes color. We're just going to go into the variables. Now, what we want to do is we kind of want to indicate to the user that, hey, you're hovering over this button, and have that sort of change. Now, in this sort of case, oh, we've got ad break. All right, hopefully everyone's going well. So yeah, I'm gonna have to close a curtain soon. That light is strong. It's only 7 o'clock here. Finally, it's the sun stays out for ages, which is nice. Yeah. Oh, when's the longest day? And oh, it's this month. Damn it. I was hoping to have the long days for a while, but no, damn. About 30 seconds left of the ads. For those on YouTube, yeah, we run ads. On Twitch, don't worry, we just do this so you don't miss out. Or they don't miss out. You're fine. Okay, what can I do with the hover? I can do the blue select. What is that blue select number though? Right, I think that's the secondary. Alright, not a problem. Anyway, about 5 seconds left and we'll jump back into it. Alright, welcome back everyone. So, much like up here, we kind of want to do the same thing like when you're hovering the button. Now, we can change that button's color, which would be nice to do. So what we could do is we copy this line, put it down here, and we can go hover, and then we can change one of these values. I keep forgetting what these stand for. So, HSL. I'm going to, I think it's this number I want to change, but I want to do it in the opposite way so everything gets even brighter. So the idea is when you hover over it, it gets a little bit brighter, but with the one down here, we want it to get darker. Like so. Alright, cool. And then with the button component, what we do is we just go primary hover, like so. Easy done, everyone's happy. We go back over here, and you can see it gets a little bit lighter. Now we're gonna have to do that with all the different colors. That's pretty easy to do. We just go into here and we just apply that all the way through the shop. Now the other thing is, what if this is a primary, secondary, and so forth like that? Then what do we do? Very good question. So yeah, that's where we're gonna set stuff up. So we're gonna go back to this. So we've got the label coming through. We'll need the class too, and potentially the size. And this is where we're going to go back and read the documentation. So we're going to go VueJS, props, limit, values, to select view. So what we want to do is we only want any of those. Type string required true, and then form type string required true, validator. Oh, all right. All right. Okay, that could work. So I am, oops, pressing the wrong buttons as always. I'm going to go VueJS props validators. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to go prop validation, and we scroll all the way down. So components can specify requirements for the props such as types you're already seen. If a requirement is not met, Vue will warn you in your browser's JavaScript console. This is especially useful when developing, sorry, I should do something like that so you guys can read. This is especially useful when developing a component that is intended to be used by others. All right, cool. To specify prop validations, you can provide an object with a validation requirement to the define props macro instead of an array of strings. For example, the type object default raw. All right, cool. Validator return to is included. All right. Full props, pass, second argument. All right, cool. That's an object, that's a number. Required but nullable string. All right, cool. Multiple types, yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, we just need this one down here. And good morning, Emerson. How are you going? Hopefully you're going well. Welcome back. So yeah, I'm going to use this in the defined prop, and we'll default it to. So what we want to do is we're going to go up here. We're going to go now. I'm going to get some wording. No, I just want regular buttons. Base class. All right, cool. Here's the base class. So we got the button. I want to variants. I'm leaning on button type. Could several variances through all right, we're going to put variant. It's going to be type string required false. Default is going to be primary, and validator is. So that's where we go over here. Validator value props. Validator value props. All right, cool. It's boolean, and then it's expecting a boolean, and then what we want to do is return, and it's as simple as, oh yeah, just us doing an array dot includes and then the value, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to place that over there. I'm just going to read from top to bottom these particular values and just put them in there. That's pretty simple. Primary, secondary, danger, warning, success, and info. Easy done. Props to do. I don't think we're using that at all. So I think we can just do something like that. And then that. Like that. Cool. Yeah, I think the default will be fine in this case. So if I go back over here and I hit refresh, yeah, that works perfectly fine. We don't have anything in the console log. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Cool. Now, we do need state, and the state will need to be, well, essentially, we'll have a validator for the state too. So yeah, this is where we kind of want utils. I don't think enum will work in this sort of case. But that's fine. Let's just go up here. I'm just gonna go object state. And what we're going to do is, once again, this is going to be required. This is definitely going to be required. Required true. There's no going to be default whatsoever. And we're going to do a validator where the value is going to be like this. Ooh, it decided to do it like that this time. Let's actually have a look at what the props actually say. The props just have it like that. I don't know why this is giving multiple different ways of how to do the same thing. I'm just going to go boolean like this. We're going to be consistent. In fact, just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to get rid of that. And then this will be a boolean, and then we'll do something like that. There we go. Don't know what went wrong before. And then what we're going to return is a bunch of includes, value is state, sweet, so let's just like that. That should be fine in here if we do something like that. What states will we have? So we'll have a loading, we'll have a saving, and we'll have a, I want to say no action state. Something where, yeah, no action. All right, 3 simple states. We could potentially move these into a mix in somewhere else, or something like that. So yeah, we'll have a loading state. Yeah, that makes sense when you're loading something in. We'll have a saving state. All right, we'll have a no action state, and we'll have a disabled state. All right, I think that's enough states for the moment. Yeah, so this will stop working over here because now I need those states put into there. So we're going to do that in a second. So if I go over into the, I can close that. I can close this. So we've got the button component. All right, cool, sweet. What we need to do now is we need to input the object state equals, we don't have it refed up yet, so I'm gonna ref it up. We need to import ref from view, easy done. And then here we need to go const object state equals ref, and we're just going to put no action as a default because there is no action to do. Then what I want to do is I want to go object state in here. We're all happy with that. And then if we go back over here, I'm just going to hit refresh. So we've got everything refreshed. So we know what the state is. We're passing that down. So whenever I click on that button, it's going to change the state straight away. Now, it might be best to put that all in an enum. That way we only edit the state in one place. Oops. So yeah, I'm going to do that in a second. What I want to do, type script enum. I'm just going to have a look at this. So we've got enum. All right, cool. Easy done. String enum, similar concept. All right, cool. Like that enum. All right, cool. And then we just need to export that enum. And then what we need to do is type script check string is in enum. So yeah, we're gonna export that. That's perfectly fine. Getting all the enum values as an array, index of it, and is there a simpler way than doing this? Oh, that was the enum becomes, if you want this to work with string enums, you need to use the object values enum includes enum.value. All right, let's try that out. Let's bump this open. Let's go to the left. And Mohammed, how are you going? Hopefully you're going well. I'm doing good tonight. We're just, ooh, all right. Reserved word enum. Yeah, I know. Shoot. Var a equals enum. What we're going to do is we're just going to go car equals car and bike equals bike. As simple as that. Oh, no, it won't let me. Do. Guess it doesn't really matter because I am using all right, hang on. Give me a couple of seconds. I am, oh, snapshots. All right, I don't want that in there. That's, yeah. So we've got the source, we've got the stores, routes, locals. Oh yeah, that's the language stuff. I'm gonna put utilities in here too. I'm gonna put in enums. And then in here, what we're going to do, just gonna create new, I'm doing good as well. So what are you working on? WordPress type management system or something else? Oh yeah, no, not a problem. So I'm working on a project management system called NearBeach. Now, what we're doing is we're redesigning NearBeach. And I'm just throwing together a mock-up of how we want it to look and how we want to sort of code it better. Essentially, I've learned a lot in the last couple of years, and there's a bit of technical debt that I'm trying to get rid of. So the idea is I'll throw off a mock-up, just a very vertical slice of NearBeach, get everyone's feedback, see how it works, sort of solidify how we want each component written, and so forth like that, and then essentially, rewrite NearBeach, refactor NearBeach. Luckily, a lot of the code will be copy and pasted. It's just mainly how we're laying it out and so forth like that. That being said, at the same time, I'm trying to think of ways where we can improve getting it laid out. In which case, as you can see, we've sort of simplified the template system here, and we're trying to do that with buttons at the moment. So, yeah. Bit of trial and error at the moment, but hey, this is why you do a mock-up sometimes. Sometimes you go in, you're like, all right, cool, how do I want to tackle this problem? You try one way, you might not like it. You try another way, you might not like it. You try another way, and you're like, that fits. So, yeah, we're just trying at the moment. I'm going to call this object state enum. And then we want to export enum, object state, and what we want to do is I want to have it like this. So I'm just copying that, I'm just putting this in here for reference. Oops, I am using the wrong shortcuts again. So we want to double check how this is properly done. So it's essentially, I'm just copying this for reference. We're just going to go down here, we're just going to paste it in. That's how we want it to actually look, because that's how everyone else does this. So we want to go loading equals loading, all capitals. We want to go saving equals saving. We want to go, oops. No action equals no action. We want to then go disable equals disabled. And then I'm just going to put in error, because just in case. So we've got all of that. Yeah. Didn't understand it properly, but it sounds fun. Gonna go solo, have a team. I've got a few people using it and actually contributing to it also. A small team. The idea being is once I'm finished refactoring and all that kind of stuff, it becomes easier to develop on. There's a bit of technical debt that I need to get rid of. So yeah. I'm going to put that over there for reference because I don't need it right now, but I know I might need it later. We've got the button component in here. What we want to do is we want to import that. So we want to import the, and I think we've got to do it like object state enum. Okay, cool. It wants us to do it like that. And then in here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go console log object state enum. I'm doing this purposely because I want to see what it outputs and how we can double check everything works in there. So we're just going to bump that off to the left, and there we go. There's our object. We're going to do the sneaky store it as a global template to see what we can do with it. So what you can do is, if I go in here, I can go, ooh, I'm just going to go error. And that does pop up error. All right, cool. And if I do something random, it's undefined. All right, cool. Which means if I just do something like that, return object state enum, and then I type in the value, and then I go does not equal undefined, then that should possibly work maybe. But it's throwing up an issue here. Element has has no type of. All right. Give me a couple of seconds. All right, so view element explicitly has an any type expression type string can't be used to index type of object enum. No index signature with a parameter type string was found. All right, on the type of. All right, cool. So we're just gonna go type script enum define string. We're just going to click on this. All right. Maybe that won't work how I want it to. I am just going to go, let's go bool a, no, sorry, it should be RA bool equals object status enum, what the fuck? Oh, object state enum, not that one, and then the value. Does not equal undefined. Yeah, no, it's not gonna like that, is it? As directed var, use let. Okay. And welcome. Nah, I can catch you up. Essentially, I am redesigning NearBeach. We're going to refactor it, both the UI, UX, get rid of all the technical debt and so forth like that. At the moment, this is actually probably a good place to start because we are doing a mock-up. So we're essentially creating what we want the app to sort of look like using just wireframes and all that kind of stuff. Get some feedback on that, and then we're probably going to jump into actually doing the UI UX. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we're just throwing things together at the moment, seeing what sticks. So what I got to do, so I probably got to go over here. Let's do enum find out if key exists. We're just going to do it this way. The in operator. All right. Return a value in. I didn't realize that existed. All right, I learned something tonight. That's kind of cool. It's very Pythonian. It's elegant. I like it. So that should make that button work perfectly fine. We'll make sure that's in there. I'm going to do the same thing with the buttons too. So we are going to create a new TypeScript file, and what we're going to do is call it button variant enum, .typescript of course, and then we're going to export enum button like that. Yeah, we're just going to do it like that, except once again we're going to keep the it in the proper format. So that should be primary, get like that, cool. Sorry, I've just got my reference on the right. And then we want secondary equals secondary, easy done. And then we want danger equals danger. We want warning equals warning. Mucking this up. There we go. Success equals success, and info equals info. Cool, there we go. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. We're just gonna remove, oh God, what am I doing? I'm fat fingering like there's no tomorrow. What we wanna do is we wanna return value in, and this sort of case will be the button variant enum. Cool, that's it. So, what we could do now in the new project, instead of using something in here where it's a magic string and all that kind of fun stuff, we're going to get rid of that. We are now going to use enum, which will be a lot better to use. So, what we want to do here is the object state enum.noAction. And I'm just going to clean up that by doing that. Then what we could do down here is we could do the variant equals, and this is where we do the button variant enum.primary. So the idea between doing it this way is you can go, all right, cool. Those are all the values. I can also visit this and find out what other values I can potentially use. Now we've got to import this. That's not going to be a problem. What we want to do, let's go up here, let's go import, and then button variant enum. Everyone's happy. We just lint everything, boom, done. So there you go, like that. Now another thing that I've got to do down here is, I don't think I can pass through a variable into here. Yeah, I don't think I can. So yeah, definitely can't, and that's fine. I was kind of expecting it. What we've got to do now is we've got to deal with the classes. So each button will be a different color and all that kind of fun stuff. We've got the variants. What I need to do is I'm just going to go to line 4. We're just going to go import, and then we're going to go computer. No. I think it's computed with a lower. All right. Yep. Ugh. Alright, so got the props. I want to put this down here. What we want to do is we want to have a const class. Oh, we can't use class name itself because it's protected. What we want to do is we just want to class computed, and then in here what we want to do, I mean, we're just passing through this. For the moment, I'm going to ignore that. I'm just going to remove the computer sort of stuff and go, all right, cool. What we want to do, go to line 27. We just want to go down here. We just want to do a simple class. We're just going to make it come through. And then what we're going to pass through is the variant. Then down here, by default, what we're going to do is we're going to have an and. Actually, no, it's going to be one of these, and then a dot, and then we're going to have a primary. Going to have a secondary. Going to have a danger. We're going to leave it like that for the moment. We're going to split those open like that. We're going to cut this out. We're going to paste it in there like that. Sorry, another thing I haven't done, border color is going to be primary. And then we're dealing with the hover effect too, like that. So all of these we sort of structured like this. And we're going to quickly do that with the secondary, background color, border color, and hover, background color, secondary hover. All right, cool. Now I haven't done that with the danger yet. I'm going to remove danger. I need to put in the secondary hover right now. So I'm just going to add that in. That should be 78. That will go down here. We'll just go hover like that. And then down here, we'll just go that and that. That will drop down to 10%. All right, cool. The border color won't change. I'm purposely not changing that. And you'll see why in a second. So we don't have anything on there at the moment, but if we have a look at that class, we do have, ooh, it's all in capital case. Okay, not a problem. We don't want that in capitals. So I'm going to bring this back over here. Yeah, this is all in capitals. So I'm just wondering if I go primary. I need to learn my twin bindings a little bit better. All right, so we're going to jump over here. We're just going to hit refresh. Just need to rebuild everything. I'm just double checking this. Now it's all in that lowercase. We've got the primary. I think I've also made a secondary mistake. I'm going to leave these like this. This is fine because we want them to come through like that. Is down here. I've left the space once again. I think that's my undoing. So we're going to go over here, we're going to hit refresh. We've got these, we've got the primary set up, but we don't have any color. Yes, all right. Now, I'm just double checking something. This one does have a space on it. Then again, I think it's meant to be the ampersand. There, it was the ampersand. All right. Yep. Cool. Because that other one means children. I just get a little bit confused. All right. So when it's like this, we can then hover over that. Now we don't see a border on that whatsoever, which is not good. What we want to do, border. This is where I need to look at my border width, and border style. Now you might be asking, why am I doing all of these in variables and so forth like that? I kind of want to leave this open for testing out to see if I can easily implement different colored themes and so forth like that. So that way it isn't just light mode and dark mode, we can implement other different colored themes. That's why. So if I refresh, we do have a very little border down there. That border width is just 1 pixel. All right, you guys won't be able to see that, but it's there. It's definitely there. We can increase that and so forth like that, but I'm not going to worry at the moment. What I want to do is I want to get this secondary stuff done. So I want to see what it looks like with the secondary stuff. So there we go with the secondary stuff. Very easy, done. So we can easily control this. All right. Now I'm just going to plug in the other ones. So dot at, and this will be danger. We'll just do that for the moment. At dot warning. Once again, we'll just do that. At dot success. Do that. At dot info. I need to do the hover stuff for all of these, so I'm just quickly getting that done very, very quickly. This will be hover, and in this sort of case, this is dark, so it goes down. Actually, no, it's light, so it goes up. Wrong way. All right, this will be hover, this will go up to 69, this is warning, this will be hover, this will go up to 67, this is danger, this is hover, this will go up to 74. Just doing the same thing down here too. Set will be going down. For success. All right. So, what we could do very, very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, that's meant to be. Oh yeah, no, 4. 4 is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. We're testing out all of these. So secondary, this will be danger, warning, success, info. Alright, cool, easy. Easy. We go in here, and as you can see, we haven't done the other ones just yet. That's perfectly fine. We're just putting this up so we can quickly see this on there. And what I can do in the button component is I can fix this up very, very quickly. This will be background color, danger, border color, danger, the at hover, and that will be background danger hover, like so. And what I'm going to do, actually probably be just quickly, the AI, just do that very, very quickly. Because it should be able to figure out, it doesn't always figure out, that's the problem. And that's pretty much it. That's how that button will work in there. Easy done. And there's all of our colors. Now the hovers aren't working on these ones. Yeah, the warning hover is a lot lighter. Yeah, we are doing background color. Just gonna hit refresh. Yeah, it doesn't work from danger onwards. At danger, at secondary, danger, danger hover. Yeah. That's annoying. It doesn't look like. let's just inspect these. All right, this is part of the card footer. I'm just going to click on danger. I'm going to click on secondary. All right. Huh. Got a full stop instead of a colon. It's always something very tiny, isn't it? All right, cool. There you go. Everything's hovering apart from danger because I've risked danger. Should be working. We do have the colon there now. I'm just going to hit refresh just in case. There we go. I just need to refresh. All right, so all of those are working. I'm actually happy with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into new project. I'm just deleting those. We don't need those. Done. We say goodbye. So we've got the button component. We've got all of that on there. What we kind of want to do now is we kind of want to add in our own function up here. So I'm just going to create a function. I'm going to call it create project, like so. And we're just going to have an alert just pop up. Easy done. Down here, what we want to do is we want to do a v on click equals create project. So we're going to go over here. We're going to click on this. Boom, create project. Cool. That's how we're going to handle what happens when someone clicks the button. So we'll have a v on. We won't pass any information down to it. It's going to be a very dumb component. That's perfectly fine. We're happy with dumb components. So now that that's done down there, we can also change its state. So what we could do is I'm just going to go ref. Actually, it will be object state dot value now equals, and it won't be no action. It will be called saving. All right, so when we hit on this and we click on this, it's going to change that value to saving. We can't see anything at the moment, and that's perfectly fine. What we want to do though is we want to notify the user that this is currently saving. So going down here, we've got a variant in here. Just having a quick think how I would tackle this. So there's a couple of different ways. I can have an if statement in here and then handle it that way, and that way the props label is uncomputed and all that kind of fun stuff. And same with variant. And that way I have control over the classes and all that kind of fun stuff, and then any logos inside it. Now I know I use suspension stuff, so if we go into that setting, what we've got here, we've got the main and then we've got the route view. I think I'm using it under one of these. I think the nav component. If I go up, not to the implementation, sorry, if I go into the usage itself, we'll see in here that I've got a suspense. And the template fallback is going to be these sort of skeletons and so forth like that. And if I go into those, you can see in here that there's an ellipsis, the skeleton loading circle, and there's all of that kind of fun stuff. And if we refresh and look on the left, you'll see that there's a couple of dots that actually happen. So we're going to implement something like that. However, we kind of need to tell the user what we're doing. So I'm going to move that over there for reference. We won't need those to open. We're going to have the button component. I'm going to re-import the computed stuff in. Sorry, socks. I know you want to just lick my hand, don't you? We are import computed from view. All right, cool, easy done. Now that will happen after the props. What we want to do is we want to have a const. We want to have a class attribute equals computed, and then at the moment I'm just going to return the props.variant. Don't worry about it. We'll fix this up in a second or two. The next one is, it's going to be the label itself. Label. Can't say label attribute because that doesn't make sense. Button text. Equals computed, and at the moment what we're going to do is we're just going to send back the label. Easy done. We're just making sure that things aren't broken here. So I'm going to get rid of that and type in class attributes. Easy done. And then what we're going to do in here is we're just going to go button text. Easy. Hit refresh. Perfect, fine. All right, nothing is broken. As you see, things are passing through. We can now manipulate this, so when we click on this, it does what we want it to do. So now with the class attributes, we still want to send through the variant. That's easy done. But what we also want to send through is whether or not it's in one of these states. So if we've got an error, we could potentially put in an error, we could put in disabled, or as a feedback to the user. So if there's no action, I'm going to say and disabled. So if it isn't one of those two, we want to send back anything else. Yeah, we kind of want to send back loading. Yeah, we're going to need a switch statement on this. All right, cool. So I'm just going to copy that. Actually, no, I'm going to put that over there for reference. We're just going to go over here. So class attributes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go let equal nothing. Actually, no. I'm going to make it equal to props.variant. Easy done. And then what we're going to do, if props dot object state. So this will have something to do with object state. I'm just trying to think if an if statement is the best place here. I'm going to say yes. Equals, and then we need the object state enum dot, and this is where we're going to choose saving, or the props dot object state enum. State equals object state enum. In this sort of case, it's not going to be saving. It is. I put the wrong thing in there. So we want it to appear loading. Or when it's loading. This is going to be better as a switch statement. All right. So what we need to do is we need to switch props dot object state when it's case, this is where we use the object state enum dot loading. So we're going to go from the top down. Class attribute. I think we can do that in this. So I'm having a good think about the class name I want to put through. I think loading is still somewhat good. However, at the same time, I think loader circle would be better. And yeah, I don't think oops, all right, cool. Pass into the class attribute, return the class attribute, easy done. That's fine. Default, we're just gonna break. For anything that we don't need, we're just gonna break. We don't need to manipulate the class string anymore. So in this sort of case, the object string is that, or we've got a second case, the object state string, instead of loading, what we want to do is we also want dot saving. This is why I picked a switch statement, is we've also got error. Which will append the error class to. All right, so case object state enum dot, this is where we use disable, and this is where we go class attribute equal class attribute plus disable. What I want to do is I want to remove those two. I also want to add in the break into there. We want to do it into there too. So that's why we're using the switch statement. In this sort of case, the first two objects will hit this. That's perfectly fine. Then it'll break out, and then we want to do all of that. So we're adding in the extra sort of information we need in here, and then it'll just return that. Easy done. I am getting stuck to this chair. Yeah, I think that's fine. As for the button text itself, we're also going to add in a switch statement, much like this. We are going to literally copy it. We're just going to paste it in. We are going to lint our stuff so everything works perfectly fine. And we're just going to have up here, let button text equal, just that. All right. And any manipulation that we do, and then we return the button text, easy done. So if it's loading and saving, we want two different things in there. So we actually want button text equal loading, and then button text equal saving here. Get rid of that. We need to break out of that. We're fine with that. Now disabled. Disabled's going to be fine. It's going to be the default text. Error. We want error to pop back. Easy done. All right. So that should be fine and dandy now. from this moment, what we're going to do is we're going to refresh. We've got the project. If I click on that, boom, it goes back into saving. Now, you'll notice that it actually shrunk. That's going to be a problem. Oh, and we've just hit an ad break. It's detected. There we go. All right. Oof, God, that's bright. All right, cool. I didn't realize how bright that was. Give me a couple of seconds. Oh, it's that time of year. There we go. I'm going to turn on this light. Yeah. All right, I need to lose weight. Hopefully everyone's going well tonight. Just gonna click on that. All right, ad break ends very, very shortly. And we've got Socks who's just about to jump up. Come on, you gonna jump up? You gonna jump up? No? Yeah, you wanted to jump up. You're like, hello. Say hi to everyone, Socks. They're up there, yep. For those on Twitch, you can actually use your watch points to give Socks some treats. We recently bought more treats. So, yeah. All right, ads in about 8 seconds. All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's get back into this. So, one problem we had is when we click on this, it shrinks. That's going to be annoying. There are ways around it and so forth like that, like when you click on and change the state and so forth like that, you can grab everything before its size and all that kind of fun stuff, and then set it manually so that way these things, you know, you don't have the shrink buttons and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to be like, nah. In this sort of case, that's going to be fine. I'm going to space the buttons out enough that when that actually happens, the button's going to be disabled anyway. And yes, Socks, we can always add a bit of padding on and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, I've also got to think about translations too, and all that. Yeah, all that fun stuff. So all of this will need to be translated. So when someone clicks on it, all of this will need to go through a translation sort of thing. That way, when the button text comes, yeah, it's going to be a pain. So let's just say that. So got to figure this one out at a later date. Isn't that right, Socks? Yeah, I know. Meow. All right. So I'm not too worried about that, but let's skeleton loader circle. That's when the ellipsis is in, isn't it? Yeah. Socks, you're on the keyboard. No, you're on the keyboard. Come here. Alright, I'm just having a quick think whether or not I should include a loader, little button loader in there and so forth like that. I mean, it is plausible. To do that, I would probably need to add an if statement in here to be like, alright, cool, if it's a button text, otherwise use all of that. However, I don't want to actually do that. Don't you dare sit on the keyboard again. No. Yeah, which also then means if I were to include the loader thing, I would ignore all of that, and then I would have a include loader up here, and then if it's true, that's when I put it in down here. Or I can have it in there constantly and just not show it. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's going to cause problems. All right. All right, give me a couple of seconds. I'm just going to do a couple of things. I'm just going to do that. We're just going to break this into multi-lines, like, whoops, not like that, no. We're going to paste that in up there. 18, that'll be fine. So this is what it'll look like this. And we'll have the saving, and then we'll have something like that. We won't have it as, we'll have it all lined up and everything like that. Because that's 14 text and that's 16 width. So in here, what we want to do, sorry, sweetie, you're way too close to the keyboard. We'll have 14. Let's get that sorted out now. Oh, it doesn't work how I want it to. And the idea is we kind of want that being, that cycling, which means we then got to put the keyframes in for that. I'm gonna get rid of the ellipsis. I don't like it. However, I'm just going to grab these. These are just going to go at the bottom like this, and we're going to scroll up here where I've got a loader circle. We'll change the names. We'll make all right, so I want to have it like that. So keyframes like that. All right. We've got the skeleton loading, and oh, sorry. Yeah, all right. It's very subtle. I don't think I need that. What I want to do is I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit that. Yeah, it's not wanting to do that. All right. If we hit refresh, yeah, we kind of want what those loading's doing. Oh, sorry. All right, I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna inspect that. So we have loader circle. All right. load a circle. Got load a circle down here. I might need the dot. Oh no, it's not wanting to do that. All right, not a problem. Been a little while, couple of months since I've done this. All right, cool. So we've got the skeleton animation. All right, cool. So on here, we're all happy with all of that. Down here, what we've got to do is do a dot. We're going to change the class, not load a circle, but we're going to say loading. All right, and then what we want to do, loading. I'm just going to go background color hot pink at the moment. We're just going to leave it like that for a second. We're just going to go back over here. We're just going to hit refresh. We're just going to click on that. Now that didn't change the background color. We've got loading because I didn't put the and in there. And there's our hot pink. All right, cool. So what I want to do is now animation. And we just want to do loading animation. We want to do it for 1 second infinite linear. And then I want to define the keyframes down here. And what we want to do is we want to have the color. So at 0%, we want the color to be text. And at 100%, we want the color to be text muted. And then hopefully that sort of works. All right, I might need to put in a 50% in there. It's subtle. It's subtle. I kind of like it. It's small. You're noticing it, but small enough not to distract you. Cool. And then what we'll do, I don't see us needing the dots or anything like that. I'm going to say, yeah, we'll keep it like that and we'll put in the dot manually up here. So when it's like loading, we'll have dot. When it's saving, we'll have dot, and error, we'll have exclamation point. That's fine. So now we've got the dot. That is going to work, and then we'll just got to disable the button. So this is where we kind of have another compute component. I like these in alphabetical order. Const is disabled, compute. This is going to be really easy. Just return when the props.object state does not equal object state enum no action. So if it equals no action, we want it to be enabled. Everything else, we're like, no, just disable it. It's perfectly fine. What we need to do down here is we need to go disable equals this disabled. We're just going to let our linter do its thing and get that done like that. So when we hit refresh, we we click on create project. Notice how the color still interacts with us like that. I'm going to change that. So down at the bottom, when it is loading now, this is cascading, so it goes from the top to the bottom. So hopefully when it hits the bottom down here and we go and hover, oh, this is where we've got to because it has everything to do with these up here, and it might be one of those cases where I'm like, and CSS all right, cool, yep. I wonder if there's a CSS and not. Okay. Don't know if this will work. Don't know. Now it's not doing the hover thing at all. That's annoying. All right, so what I would do is I'll do hover and disabled. And then we do the background color. Actually, I'm just gonna go hot pink. I just want to see this as a positive. So that's working like normal, that's not. So all right, we're gonna go background color, hot pink here. We're all happy with that. We're just gonna get rid of all of those. This is all fine and dandy. We're just gonna go refresh. We're gonna hover over that. All right, cool. And there it goes. So I need to have that many different layers. I don't like that. I mean, that would be kind of makes sense, but we'll find out in a second. Nah, it doesn't work on here. Now that might be because I'm stringing up two at the same time, so I'm going to do that. All right, so it still doesn't work. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. CSS, hover and disabled. Enabled. All right. All right. Let's try that. And yeah, we'll do screw it. Once again, hot pink. delete that line out of there. This once again, this is just for testing. So we're gonna go over here. We're just gonna hit refresh, hover, hot pink works, hover, no hot pink. All right, that's how we're gonna tackle this problem. So it's like that. It's a bit of a nest. I don't know if I can do something like that to fix it. We'll find out in a second. If that doesn't fix it, then yeah, we'll go back to where we were. If I'm just gonna refresh, no, it doesn't. All right, cool. All right. That just means I've got to do that for everything here. That will be enabled. Open up that, delete that, and put that in there. We're not going to worry about linting this very second because we've got the automatic link to help us. Do that and that and that and that. All right, and that and that and that. Like that and that. All right, I'm just gonna do that. Cool, linting done. So when we click on this, yeah, it does that. Perfect. And no, it doesn't. Apart from that text swinging back and forth, that's about it. That's all it does. We do need to set back this hot pink one. I did see the hot pink before. Yeah, we need to. Oops, and that will actually be primary hover. Easy done. We're just going to go back over here. We're just going to hit refresh with this page. We're just going to hit create. So yeah, that's working really well. And then yeah, done. Cool. I'm happy with that. So it looks like we've set up the buttons how we want them to. Whoop. And Blinter, good morning. Sorry, I just saw your message. Welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my content. So yeah, welcome. I kind of like how this is going, this particular form. We've got the title. We'll get the group permissions done in the near future. I'll essentially have to design up something. But if we type in our text, type in this text right now, smiley face, and come up with the selector later for that. That looks like it's working perfectly fine. And then what we need to do is we just need it to go to the route and go somewhere else and so forth, like that. My days start at 4 a.m. Damn, what is 4 a.m.? Welcome, welcome. I'm hoping you've got a strong cup of tea or coffee to help you get up. So yeah. Oh yeah, all good, all good. I love my workers. So yeah. All right. So I'm kind of happy how these fields are working with this form at the moment. Once again, I've got to deal with the sizing and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to be reading documentation, or I bought a while ago now, and I just never got around to reading it. A sort of design doc done by someone, and they're like, do this, do this, do this, and I'm going to pretty much do what they say. New York City, oh nice. I do have a, everyone knows where the Big Apple is, but does anyone know Minneapolis? Sorry, this is a terrible, terrible joke. It's horrible. Yeah, so I'm gonna consult that document. I keep dropping the pen. Okay. Great Gatsby. What the joke? Yes. Sorry, I love bad jokes, and I will admit that was a terrible joke. All right. So in this sort of case, we've got the project all sort of set up. We've got those particular fields. The idea being is you see this page by clicking this. Let's say you're on that page, you've got the search, and then you click on this, boom, and this will pop up, and you'll be like, all right, sweet, I can now do my thing. Now we should also think about the skeleton for this. You pre-watched, fair enough. All right. So if you have a look at the left, you'll notice whenever you refresh, you've got these little placeholder stuff. I'm just thinking what we could do with the placeholder here. It shouldn't be too large to load in. That being said, if I throttle down to, let's say 2G, I'm gonna hit refresh, and then I'm realizing that, holy hell, this will actually take forever because I am in debug mode. So it's not going, yeah, it's going to be a couple of megabytes. I'm just going to stop. Let's do no throttling. Let's go over here. I'm just going to do this. npm run builds. We're going to build a production version of this. I want to test one thing. We want to go cd into the dist. We want to do php localhost. I'm going to go 8080. Oops, sorry, php serve localhost 8080. Sorry, I forgot that. Oh, 8080 already in use. 8081. Gonna go back over here. We're gonna go localhost 8081. So we've got this. If I go into our network tab and I go to regular 2G and I hit new project, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a pause before this appears. And what I could potentially do is add in a placeholder that will just, it's a skeleton. It'll show pretty much nothing. I personally like looking at Framework X and recess. What do you mean by recess? Or recesses? So, but if you, oops, I just refreshed. If I go there, I'm just going to refresh again. It's only transferring 215 kilobytes at the moment, which is good. Microwave T. Okay, yep. Fair enough, fair enough. Series of tubes. Then if I click on new project, that does send us a small amount of data. So it's not too bad. It's only 2.82 kilobytes. And that's on 2G. All right, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. I'm going to refresh the page. We're making sure that we've deleted all the cache. It's going to download 215 kilobytes. I'm going to bump that down to GPRS, and I'm going to click on new project. So it didn't take too long to do that, but there is some lag in there. That BG background noise is making like, oh, fair enough, that is a cicada. They usually sing earlier in the year, but because it's been really goddamn cold, they haven't lately. If you're getting how to okay, we've got a bunch of cicadas. Don't know. Oh, it's just a list of all of them. All right, cool. No problem. Yeah, yeah, this is our first day of warm heat. So, yeah. You like locusts? Oh, fair enough. Yeah, so that background noise is cicada. It's one of these guys. I don't know my bugs, so I don't know what exact cicada it is. Alright, I'm going to put on no throttling as I think about this. The thing is, what I could potentially do, instead of sorry, I'm just trying to think. Instead of actually having a component for every object for a new object. So for example, a component for a new project, a component for a new task, a component for, oh, we've just hit add breaks. All right, cool. Yeah. What I'm thinking of is having a generic sort of component. Now, that being said, you'll have other child components like requirement items and Kanban cards will be different. A new Kanban will be different, so that will need its own component. Requirements, we could get away with the defaults with the requirements. Request for change is a wizard. So when you do it, it's actually a wizard you go through. Yeah. So I'm probably going to change this new project into a more generic one. Yeah, that won't take me too long to do. But I'm liking how it's designed. We've got to also think about the design of not the new thing, but also other things too. So, yeah, we'll be playing around with the design in a minute. Alright, cool. We're without ads, about 10 seconds left of the ads. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Alright, welcome back everyone. So I've just been giving it a little bit of thought. Instead of having this as a specific component, we can make it generic. This can actually be used in a number of different places. So, for example, do I actually have... I don't have NearBeach running at all, but that's perfectly fine. For example, you got new projects, new tasks. You could potentially do a new requirement like this, where you can type in the title, do the group permissions, and then bang. That way it gets you to the object as quickly as possible, and you can quickly implement your changes. Another thing we could potentially look at doing is, hey socks, once we get this done, we then got to start designing what the other page, what the project information page will look like. So instead of having project new up here, it's going to be like project, and it'll have a 1 or a 2, and it'll be like project information, and it'll show on this page. All right. Another thing I want to play around with is I want to see what this would look like in the middle of the screen. Now I'm going to cancel that. We're going to move back over here. We're definitely not going to do any throttling. We're going to go over here. We're going to cancel all of that. We're going to go npm run dev, let it all run. We're going to go back here. We're just going to hit that. So we've got this running like this. What we want to do is we've got all of that working perfectly fine. I want to see what happens if we put it in the middle of the screen. Does it look better, or should it belong more at the top of the screen? And the other thing is, will that work on mobile phone? I don't think it will. So the main itself should be large enough. If we click on this, let's do margin. We're just going to do auto. All right, it doesn't. Main itself should be like that much. don't have the margins set 100% correct. We do have padding top for some strange reason, which I'm not a fan of. If we do all that, let's go main in here once again. Then again, this should be, yeah, we've got the min height. Yeah, that should be filling out that whole space if we've got something like that. Margin left, min height, background color, display block. Alright, cool. I'm just going to, yeah, margin order. I don't know why. Well, that doesn't want to do that. And if I do margin top, it's going to do that. Okay, cool. And if I click on that, and instead of block, I'm just going to use flex. Yeah, flex works really, really well, but of course it will shrink everything. I'm going to ignore the margin. Yeah, and that just puts everything in the center. I mean, I don't like that. But I'm also noticing that we can wiggle woggle up here. So what I want to do is I want to go to find the main. So we want to find main. We've got main in here, we've got main, we've got the height, we've got the negative 45. What we need to actually do is negative 65 that. Easy done. So that takes into account the padding. So now we're no longer scrolling up and down. Great, and then we click on this. All right, sweet. Now, what does this look like at the, yeah, I need to play around with the font sizes and so forth. That, I'll do the same with that over there. Yeah, we usually zoomed in like this. Once again, I've got those books to read and I'll take some notes. So, yeah. All right, we've done that, then we're going to click on save. We've also got to now make this very generic. So what I want to do, so I want to have it where these components are required. We need to actually feed that back to the user. So I'm going to close this. I'm happy with the button component for the moment. That's the button components was, yeah, great. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go into the text components. We're going to have a play around with this in here. So we've got the label, we've got the input. We should also have, oops, is required. So that's going to be type boolean, default is going to be false. You won't require it at all because we'll heavily lean on the false. Now another thing is we can do this down here and we can do that like that, and then what we can do is we can do a span. We're going to do a class equals required, and then I'm going to do something like that. Now, we need a VF is required, like that. All right. So that will only show if it's required. So at the moment, nothing's showing. Now, group permissions. Now that is I'm going to leave that unrequired at the moment, but that's perfectly fine. What will actually happen is we'll use a select statement. I'm just wondering, we might need to actually create a specific component for group permissions. We're not dealing with that at the moment. All right, we'll deal with something different. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go is required equals true. We're just going to list that out like that. And then boom, there we go. We see that little asterisk right there. Now, I do see a little gap in between those two. I don't like that gap. Don't like that gap at all. And it could be here, or it could be here, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't like it. Even if I do something like that, all right, I have to do something like that to get that to work. That is fine. Now, what we could potentially do is I could get rid of that class. That's perfectly fine. So we've got the label, and then what we can do down here is we do the, now this is going to be a child component. So we're going to do something like that. And then we're going to go span. And then we need to go color. And this is going to be a variable. I'm going to have a quick look at my variables. I mean, we could use the danger. I mean, yeah, let's use the danger text. All right. We're going to use the danger as the color. Ooh. Doesn't look really crash hot against that. Oh, all right. We're gonna find another red. And what I'm going to do, text red, yeah, we're going to have text red. That way I can do a dark version and a light version. Yeah, there we go. And there we go. It stands out a lot better now. So we've got the title, but we've also, the problem is the instant I click on submit, we've got to figure out whether or not everything's valid. And that's where we've got to figure out how we're going to handle those sort of cases. Now, in the past we have used VueValidate to deal with all of that. However, this time I'm kind of thinking, well, there was a lot of setup for that. It was a bit of a pain. Why don't we implement something? Yeah, why don't we implement something? So, yeah. Now, I don't know how to do that elegantly. So we've got to figure this one out. All right, not a problem. What we could do, and this is just requires me reading the documentation to seeing what we could potentially do. It's that simple. In this sort of case, also we've got a bunch of refs. We need a bunch of models too, and let's just see how. Yes, model. How the component model does it again, because it's been a little while. All right, define model. Yeah. Cool. We've got the ref. Okay, so what we want to do here is, now is this a constant? Yeah, this is a constant. So const, this will be title model equals define model. Yeah, it's going to be like that. And then we're going to go const group model equals define model. Easy done. We need to sort of figure out how we're going to pass this information down and up. Because as you see here, how do we do that? The model equals, this will be group model. All right, cool. We've got text model, it's meant to be title model. So first things first, let's solve this process first. The next thing we could potentially solve is how we're dealing with the validation. Let's get the model sorted first. So down in here, what we want to do is, we've got the input, we've got the name, we've got the props, we've got the input. I need to, so we've got the basic usage, we've got all of that, yeah, cool. Const model, define model, all right, props, define props, model value. All right, cool, this is exactly what I want. I scrolled to the right place. So we kind of want to set up this like that. So we want to go in here, we want to do this. We want to, definitely not do that. I want to copy that. I want to then hopefully paste that there. Thank you very much. We've got the const props. Yeah, we've defined the props up there. So we've got the model value down here. All right, so that's going to be like model value. Get rid of that. Yeah, it's going to have a problem like that. Because this is a text input component, it's going to always be a string. Default is going to be, oh no, we need a required. Required is equal to true, so we're always going to need a required in this sort of case. All right, and then we need an emit. So all right, cool. I'm just going to copy this. Oops, I'm just going to, do that. What we're going to do, we're going to scroll down here. We're just going to paste that in like that. That's just for a reference. We'll delete it in a second. So we've got the ID, we've got the name, what we want to do, we've got the type equals text, we're all happy with that. We've got the value, yeah, we don't actually have the value. All right, oops. So I want to, values equals prop.model value, cool, easy done. At input equals, and then we're going to emit the update model value, and then, all right. We're going to put that one in. We're going to lint. Doesn't like that. Update modal value, define emits, update alert. All right, cool. Event target value. Okay. Still working. I'm just going to bump this off to the left. We're going to open up the Vue editor itself. We're going to click on a new project itself. We've got the model value as undefined and in here. All right, no a problem. I'm going to hit refresh. I don't know why. All right, cool. Duplicate model name, model value. Alright. Okay, no problem. I've just done something wrong. I haven't fully read the instructions. So if we go model in here, component v model. So we've got a defined model, alright, cool. This means that import v model. Define props, define emits. Yep, that's what we've just done. All right, hang on. All right. No, I know what I've done wrong. So up here, I've got a defined model, and I'm going to go type model. And this is going to be group model. Easy. From here, it shouldn't have a problem. If we refresh, there we go. And then if I start typing in here, I'm going to move this to the left, and we're going to click on new project. We've still got undefined all across the shop. This is the new project. It's not really props that we're... Oh, there we go. Set up. Cool. I don't know why this is saying we've got props when we really don't. What? Oh, I need to create the two-way binding on that one. Give me a couple of secs. So going back onto here, let's go into model. Ooh. So we scroll down under the hood, yada yada yada. So child parent. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna, oops, wrong shortcut key. I'm just gonna click that button. It's gonna be 10 times easier. We're just gonna go over here. We're just gonna paste that child element in here. So we need model value. So we're just going to get rid of that. And we're just gonna go model value equals. And this is where I would go group model, easy done. And then what we wanna do, oops, is we wanna do at update, model value equals $event to model. This will be group model equals $event. And this. Group model is unknown. All right, and that's no problem. Type is going to be string. Default is going to be. That's all we need to do. So type string default. All right, we're happy with that. All right, so going back over here, everything's still working. If I type in something like that and click on new project, we've got the title model. That's not updating quite yet, but the setup is working perfectly fine. Yeah, that's working perfectly fine. It's just these, I don't know why they're props. They're not really props. So we're going to go back over here to the new project. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to get rid of that now. And what we're going to do is going to model value equals title model. Right, we're happy with that. We're getting rid of that one line. We're also adding that in, and then we're going to do update model value equals $event, and then it'll be title model equals $event. Hopefully, $event. We're making sure that we update the title. So I'm just going to hit refresh. So we're going to click on new project. We've got the references and stuff like that. So if I do that and that does update those. That's good. But it's not updating that one. That's a bit weird. I must be doing something wrong. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. So we've got the define model update. And that updates the model. Yep. Alright, cool. Under the hood. Yeah, that's under the hood. Alright, my component, we've got the title. Alright, cool. Input, alright, so multiple V bindings. By leveraging the ability to target a particular prop or event, as we learned before with the V binder, we can create a multiple V binding on a single component instance. All right, so I think I just need to do that properly. All right, let's try that. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to go v model equals title model. And then in here, I'm just going to get rid of that because they don't have that. But then again, also they've got the, oh, I see how this is. Yeah, no, I get it. All right, cool. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to go const model equal define model, like so. That way we got the VBI model. That's the default. We've got the v model equals group model, and then we've got the label title is required. Input model. And then I'm just going to refresh my app, hope for the best. We're focusing over here, so if we click on this, it still does it to this one down here. Damn. If I click on the card component, card header, the text editor one itself, the props, model modifiers. We've got the model coming through. What I'm going to do, just to confirm everything, I'm going to, up here, we're just going to go with a strong, we're just going to go title, and we're just going to go in here, title model. Cool, I just want to see this work. I'm going to refresh everything. We're going to move that to the right. So at the moment, there's nothing in here, and then, all right, cool, let's just, yeah, all right. I had everything right. I'm just, that thing's just been a bit crazy for me. All right, let's get rid of that. So, I'm happy with that. So, we're now passing all of those upstream. Oh, we've hit another ad break. Okay, we're almost done for the night. I won't be on much longer because I need bed. Just trying to think who we could raid after this. Toggle got over 105 years experience. Wasn't very mage. I develop things. What a few good people. Zig. Alright, how many alright, I'm just gonna alright. Cool. Sorry, I'm just lining everything up. So yeah. Alright. I think we're getting there with this component. From here, I kind of want to make it generic. I've got to do all the translation, all the accessibility and stuff like that for these components too. I'm not stopping at that. I want to set this all up properly. With the idea that what we do actually set up here, a lot of that will be transferred into the new system where we could just call upon it very, very quickly. So in here, what we've got all of that. We've got that. The idea being is if I click on create project, I want a little text tool here being like, hey, this field is required. So what we could do in this sort of case is in the text input, I'm going to have error message override. That's going to be type simple string required. It's going to be false. Default is going to be nothing. All right, easy. And we're happy with that. Down here, we're going to const error message equals computed, and what we want to do is we're just returning. This is where we're going to go. All right, props dot error message override question otherwise please supply value. All right, cool. Down here, we've got all of that, and then we'll have another spam. This will be on error, right? All right. What I want to do is when someone clicks on the button, I want to go through and be like, all right, cool, I'm going to check all of these values, and if there is an error, I want you to show that error. And I'm just wondering how we can actually do that. Now, we've got the props, we've got the models, we've got the computers. We should also define the ref. So const has error equals, and that is ref. It's going to be false at the moment. I don't know if I've imported ref. No, I have not. So we're just going to import ref very, very quickly. So there's a ref. It's going to be false by default. And we've also got the error message down here. So if this has error, we want it to appear. Now, one problem is all of a sudden we've got two spans in here, but that's going to be fine because we still want those colors. So I'm going to say yes. And then we're going to hit a space in here. In fact, we can do something like this, and we can do error message override. Now, if I readjust everything like that, that should get perfectly fine. Actually, it's going to be error message. The override happens if something's there. If not, nothing will appear. And we want to have that happen in. All right, cool. So what I want to do, VueJS, trigger compute in child component. So what we want to do is we want to sort of trigger in the child components of that object to be like, hey, you need to do this. One easy way to do this: button click ref, my child, say hello, click me. All right, we. Yeah, this is. Ref for the child component, you'll be able to call the methods and access the data it has. I mean, yeah, it's that, but then we're going to be doing that for everything. And I was hoping to do a full sweep of all the child components. Yes. Oh, sorry. You can create a ref and access the methods, but it's not recommended. You shouldn't rely on internal structure of a component. The reason for this is that you'll tightly couple your components, and one of the main reasons to create components is to loosely couple them. You should rely on the contract interface in some framework and languages to achieve this. The contract in Vue relies on the fact that the parent communicates with the child via props and the children communicate with it via events. There are at least two different methods. All right, cool. The event bus and VueX. So we've got the pro. All right, cool. Trigger 0, use the prop to print. All right, cool. Child component, test prop equals trigger. All right, cool. Yep. I mean, that is a way, yeah. Watch when it fire. Yeah, one way to do this is ignorant. All right, I kind of like that. Yeah, they're right. I don't want to tightly couple everything. All right, let's do this. Check validation. In this sort of case, we're going to go type is just going to be boolean. Easy done. Required equals going to be false. Default is just going to be false. Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll just do that. And then we just need to define the watch. So I don't know how to do the watches in the new view. It's going to be interesting. Watches. Okay, yep, cool. We don't need deep watches. All right, cool. I'm just gonna do, so we've got the check validation. I need to import the watch, like so. This will be after computers, we'll have the watch. What we want to do, they've just got watch. It's a particular function, and then what we want to watch in itself is we want to watch the props.check validation. Let's just scroll up just a little bit more. So I'm just going to scroll all the way up. So we've got the watch, they've got the question. So we do that. Now it doesn't need to be async. I don't think it needs to, it doesn't need to be. What we want to do is we then want to emit something up. And that's where we've got to go VueJS emit value. So click emit. Yeah, we just need to. We're doing something like that. So it's just going to be emit, and then it's going to be is valid. And that's going to be the model, the model dot value doesn't equal nothing, and model dot value doesn't equal undefined, and model dot value doesn't equal null. Now there's an all statement in here if it's override condition being, all right, we should do that. If props dot is required, then we do that. Otherwise, I think it's this dot emit. Otherwise, it's this dot emit is valid. It's just going to be true always. No, this doesn't like that. VueJS watch props. do we set up with the props? Oh no. No, we're no longer doing that. That's not compets. What the fuck? What the fuck? Let's go down here. New view, converter, watch. No. That's not what we want. We want view 3, watch props. Yeah, it's getting me to do it like that. Crazy. No. Alright. Let's just... Yeah. Okay, view 3, compositional API, watch props. I think I just got this wrong. All right, no, not a problem. We're just going to delete it. All right, watch. All right, coming through is not the model value. We can get rid of that now. That's no longer needed. Because we've got the defined model there, that's perfectly fine. So in this sort of case, this is check validation. C and B. So what we want to do is we want to emit, and we want to go is valid. I'm just going to put true at the start. I just want to get this emit down correctly. All right, cool. Emits, yep, type. No, we don't need types. Emit default, emit check. All right, cool. Created. This dot and check. All right, cool. Now that's the old method. It should be that's the options API. Components in depth, emitting and listening to events. So we've got the $emit there, but what happens if it's on a function? Like, all right, we've got the defined emits. A component can explicitly declare the events it will emit using the define emits macro, which is what we want to do. So in here, we'll need to define emits, define props, and what we want to do is in here is valid, is what we're emitting. And that way, const define emits, yada yada yada, emit, that's how we do it. All right, cool. So go down here, and then what we want to do, emit is valid. Okay, let me just write down whether it's true or false. All right, cool. That's not wanting to work in there. That's not wanting to work in there either. Yeah, it should be just that button click. Oh, I might need to set up a function. All right. Methods, function is valid. yeah, we just do that. Oh, it's still not liking it. What the? Oh, constant init. Ugh. There we go. Then I can get rid of that. And then we could just deal with it in the watch. So I'm just getting... So if is required, all right, handle the requirement. All right, code is done. We just need to handle the requirement, those particular conditions. What we want to do is we want to let has error equals false by default, and we're going to be fine with that. And then down here we're going to go this dot has error equals has error. That's just to tell the local component, hey, we do actually have an error. I don't think we need this. I think it's just that. And then what we want to do is, oops. And then we want to return has error. Actually, we also want to omit it. So set the defined ref and tell parent. This needs to be has error.value equals that. And then it'll be emit is valid. And then has error. Easy done. That should be that. And hi, dumb guy codes. How are you going? What does the watch do? All right, so in this sort of case, we're watching one of the props. We're watching the prop called check validation. It's just a simple boolean, and we're just going to toggle it by flipping it and so forth like that. So the idea is when the parent toggles that boolean, this watch gets activated, and it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to run this little tiny bit of code for you. And the idea is that code will run. It will then emit it upstream for you. So yeah. Idea here is there's two ways of doing validation. One, you tell the user, hey, fill this out, you got an error here, you got this, and all that kind of fun stuff. It's annoying, especially when it's a fresh form. You kind of want to only show that when the user clicks on it, and that's what I'm trying to implement. And yeah, I don't know why this has red text. Is never reassign, use const. Oh, no, it's going to get reassigned in here. So the idea being is has error will equal, and this is where we will look at the model. So model dot value does not equal that, and does not equal null, and model dot value does not equal undefined. So this is a very simple watch. All we're doing is we're making sure if we've got any errors, and the errors are we need some we need some information filled out in there. We can elaborate on this text input later. So for example, we could put in a maximum and a minimum, and so forth like that. So yeah, we can make this more and more complicated as we go down the track. At the moment, we're keeping it very, very simple. All right, so that should handle that. So the nodemon does the same thing, right? If I'm wrong. What do you mean nodemon? so I'm all happy with that. Because we also set the error down here. That will actually make that go on. And then what I want to do is with the new project, when we actually click on the button itself, so on this button, we go to create project up here. We're just putting that on to saving. And what we want to do before we actually do any of that is we need to check validation. So this is where I need to start storing all the validations and stuff like that. npm package node 1. Make sure I'm human. I don't know if I am sometimes. Yeah, I'm human, buddy. Let me in. NearBeach is a tool that helps develop Node.js based applications by automatically restarting the Node application when a file. No, not really. Kind of a bit different. The watch is a part of the VueJS components. So if you want more information, I can. Part of the watches. So we'll go and I'll paste that in. And I'll paste that in for those over in Twitch. And what IDE? I'm just using PyCharm. Because NearBeach is an open source project, I do get it for free. So, yeah. Alright, so we need to check the validation. I haven't set up any validation refs at all. So what we've got to do up here is we're going to go const validation equals ref. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, similar to NodeMen. Yeah, NodeMen is watching your like the files themselves. So any additional changes to your code or methods. Now, I don't know if I want to put this in as an object or... Yeah, sorry, I'm just having a quick think how I want to... depends on the language. So I learned C and C++ when I was in university. I learned Python when I was working for a university. I've been learning .NET for a number of years now. I've been using VueJS for nearly 7 years. I've been, yeah, depends on the language. I've been working as a web developer since 2019, start 2019. Before that, I was in IT. Before that, I was a data scientist. And before that, I was helping build small database applications. So yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know the full specifics in one particular language. However, I know a broad amount, and I'm not afraid of jumping to another language and so forth like that. So, yeah. Alright, in this sort of case, I don't know if I want it as an object or... I'm going cheap. I'm going to think about this properly. I'm going to add in a to-do, figure out a better method to this. And that's it. And it might be just me researching what Validate did and all that kind of fun stuff. The YouTube has added live subtitles. Yeah, it's added live subtitles, which is pretty cool. I'm surprised it actually can pick up my accent really well. Ooh, we've just hit an ad break. Don't worry, we run ads on Twitch to stop the pre-rolled ads because the pre-rolled ads suck. In this time I just stopped development, but I'm happy to continue talking and so forth like that, and answering any questions. So yeah, and we get to see Socks today. She's sitting on the little cat tower. She's like, no, don't touch my head. So yeah, are you using the class component or the old or new method? So I'm using the new method, the composition stuff, compositional API. The idea being I've never used it before, which is why I'm very iffy about it, like massively iffy about it. The idea being is I want to learn it. I think it will be better in the long term to use it. Also, it's a tool underneath my belt. If I know it, I'm not going to be afraid jumping onto the options API or the compositional API. Cheers, thank you. So yeah, it does help the channel. Likes and subs do actually help the channel. So does lurking and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, at the moment, what we're doing, if you don't know what we're doing, is I've been building a project management system called NearBeach. Oops, wrong screen. Essentially, it's got a lot of technical debt in it. It's got a couple of mistakes that I've made that I've had to, the tech deck, all right, let's not lie. There's also a lot I've learnt. It's also designed horribly and all that kind of stuff. So I've drawn a line in the sand and I'm like, all right, cool. I'll support 0.31 until I get this released. So I'll fix bugs, I'll update libraries and so forth like that. But what I want to do is I want to redesign the whole thing. I want to get rid of that technical debt. I want to make those improvements. I want to make it look nice. So at the moment, I'm doing a very vertical slice of the UI and UX. So people can actually give me feedback. So that way, when I go to do all this sort of stuff, we know what we're doing. Is your home so near the road? Be safe, drive. I've just got a driveway there. So yeah, I live in a bunch of units. So that's just the neighbors going by. Here it's cyclone, man. Oh, fair enough. Stay safe, though. Stay safe. So, we don't get them in Australia. Oh, sorry, we don't get them in Melbourne. All right, now what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was gonna close that. I'll keep that one open. So we've got to figure out a better method. That's fine, I can think about this, I can research it. You know, I don't know how to do this. I don't know a better method. So we're gonna do the easy method. And what I'm going to do is we're only going to say this one is required. I think this is where a composition will be the best way of doing this. So the idea is we'll have repeated code. Oh no, I just want to solve this little problem first and then I'll go. Or if 10 o'clock hits. Whichever one is first, so yeah. So I think doing a composition, if I've named that right, if I've said that right, is probably the best way of doing this because we're going to have validation everywhere. And the best way to sort of set that up, yeah, all right, but not a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in here, so, this is going to be the args, and then this is going to be up here, and then I'm going to that's defining models. There's our ref. And then Socks, you're in the way, sweetie. Come on, don't be rude. So const is title valid. We're just gonna do that. Once again, I will probably do this a lot better, but right now I just want to get this working. How everyone is so fine. It's just practice, mate. Just build stuff. It don't need to be large. It can be a small, simple thing. The idea is if you actually build stuff yourself, you use your brain to actually build the stuff yourself, you're going to get better at problem solving. You're going to get better at knowing how to solve these problems. And then all of a sudden, you'll be one day you'll have a giant problem fall in your lap. You end up breaking that down into really tiny components. And you're like, all right, cool, this is how I'm going to solve this. Don't worry, I have done moments all the time. All right, so don't feel dumb. Just build stuff. You'll get better, trust me. And then after a little while, whilst you're building stuff, look back at your first couple of projects that you built. You'll realize that you can build them better, and you'll realize that you've progressed. So yeah, build stuff. All right, so this is title model valid.value equals, and I'm just going to put the args. Pass the args through. Actually, we don't need to set the value, do we? Yeah, we just do that. So that's the quick way of doing it at the moment. Now, when I say there's probably a better way, there probably is a better way, so we're probably going to do it the better way. I don't think I will be able to survive in this tech world. I think you can. What makes you think you can't survive? Like, if I can survive, you can survive. Let's put it that way. All right, so so we'll check the validation. So this will then be object state. No, not object state. We've got to flip the thing. So we also need const check validation equals ref. We're just going to go false. We're all happy with that. And then what we want to do down here, we need to do check validation equals check validation. That's perfectly fine. That's our boolean that will essentially trigger the watch, and the watch will actually tell us whether or not we're valid. So what we want to do is up here, we've got to go, I think we've got to await this change to, await check validation equals the check validation. So that flips the validation. Actually, no, we probably won't need to, because that all happens straight away. I don't know if we need to wait a tick. And that's the thing. Do we wait for a tick? So VueJS wait for next tick. May I know what template is being made here? I don't know, that's perfectly fine. And hello, born for programming. Programming, not programmer. Welcome. Love from Pakistan. Hey, how are you guys going? Hopefully you guys are going good. How's the weather over there? It's finally warming up here in Australia. Alright, so dumb guide codes. Essentially what I'm doing is it's this little template here. So if we have a look down there, we've got the card component, we've got the card header, so that's, the card component is the whole thing. The card header is these two lines up here. And then we've got text input component, which is, that's the first one. And then, actually, sorry, that's the second one. This is the first one. And then we've got the footer with the buttons in it, which is just down here. So, yeah. And what we're doing, you're learning Python? Oh, fair enough. So, yeah, NearBeach uses Django, which is built off Python. Where the front end uses VueJS, hence we're doing quite a lot of VueJS at the moment. We're going to redesign NearBeach. We're going to get rid of all the technical debt and all that kind of fun stuff. This is just a vertical slice of the front end to get feedback from users, because I can't design. I can't decide. So if I get this out, get some feedback from users, what I can do is I can spend some time in the back end getting that ready. So yeah. All right, so in here, we've got the text component. We should hit that. I was doing await. Next tick is a utility function that allows you to defer a callback function until the next DOM cycle update. This is crucial because Vue performs DOM updates asynchronously to optimize performance. And that's the thing, I think because I'm doing something, it's going to jump straight away and it'll probably won't validate properly. So what we've got to do is we'll do that. And then what I want to do is, it's not await, it's async. Sorry, had a dyslexic moment. And then we've just got to await next tick. And then what we want to do is if the is title valid, we actually want the opposite of that. And then we're just going to return, I'm just going to put an alert in there. Yep, not valid, mate. There, easy done. And then it'll go into the saving mode and so forth with that. This is PyCharm. Just for your disclosure, I get it for free because NearBeach is open sourced. So yeah. Otherwise, there is a community version of PyCharm. Otherwise, it does start at $109 a year. And it does get cheaper eventually. But there's also special categories. So if you're in, oh, that's 50% off. Oh, that used to be free. Oh, all right. Yeah. Because I started in education, it was free back then. PyCharm is the Python IDE, yeah. NearBeach uses Django, which is Python. I'm just using this because I've got this all set up to, do the VueJS files also. So yeah. All right, so we should do the await the next tick. That way all the calculations get done, and then I'll come back here and then I'll do all that. So if we go over here, I'm just going to refresh. So if we go create project, we got, yep, not valid mate, not valid mate. All right, cool. Now that hasn't worked fully. If we have a look at the, I want to go to the text input. I'm going to move this off to the left. This is just the VueJS debugger. So as you can see, we're just moving down all the components. So we've got is required true. This should also have in here, has errors. That's currently set to false. That should be true. So what we want to do is we want to jump back into here. This is why we test. So has errors values. In the watch, we go through has error. Yeah, all right. This is where I just need a little bit more information. VueJS compositional API update ref. Let's make the button unclickable when the fields are not filled in yet, and that's another one which we could potentially do also. So that isn't actually a bad idea. I do like it. So essentially that button will no longer exist, or it'll be disabled. We've got to figure out a color for the disableness of it. And then yeah. Just wondering how that would, well, it can easily be done. I'm just trying to think the better way of it. I know the short way of doing it, but it's probably not the proper way of doing it. So the short way would be having, it's just having this button compute, have it is disabled compute, and then go through all the buttons that it requires. So yeah. But at the moment, I'm going to do it this way. The only reason why I'm doing it this way still is because this isn't proper. I know how to do it this way. I'm just doing it this way. But I will actually think about that way because I'm just wondering how I can extend on that. Yeah. Because if I were to do that now, we've only got one field that is required. I would just go down here and as simple as, oops, I was meant to do something like that. It was as simple as disabled equals, and then you would just go is title model valid, and every single time you change the title model valid, you would sort of update this parent value, and that's how you would do it. So it's pretty simple, but the problem is if I've got a dozen fields that need to be filled out, and some of them are a little bit more complicated, this becomes way more complicated doing it this way. There is definitely a better way of doing it that way. I just don't know it. That's the thing. And that's fine. I'll figure it out. We need that error message to appear. I don't know why that is not appearing. So VueJS, what we want to do, VueJS 3 update ref, activity core. We'll just do that so you guys can see. So yeah, we should have the ref function, ref interface. Yep. Const ref 0. Yeah, we're doing that, but it's not updating. Has error. Let's print this out like so. All right, cool. I'm going to see what actually happens because it clearly is sending something potentially upstream, or maybe not. So I'm just going to hit refresh. We're going to move this off to the left. We're hitting console. We've got all of this. I'm just going to undo that. I'm just going to hit that. Has error. That's coming through as false. That's not correct. I've got something silly here. Yeah, I've done something silly here. These are all statements. And equals. So I was thinking of it in the negative, not the positive. So if I hit refresh and I hit create project, has error equals true. It is valid and that, yeah, all right, cool. And then we gotta, all right, I'm gonna undo all that. I'm gonna put is valid equals, by default, it's gonna be true. and then has error dot value equals the opposite to is valid, and then we want to emit is valid, and then that's going to be is valid. So it has to equal all those conditions to be is valid. All right, cool. And if I click on that button, yep, not valid, mate. But that has error is not updating, which is a bit weird because we've got a span that it's meant to be updating. So I'm just going to go down into the components. We've got the has error somewhere in here. Has error is true. So why isn't that component? Hang on a minute. I think I know something else. I've got another bug in the system. So going up into the computed, we've got this. All right, that doesn't work. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do that. We're going to do that. I need one question mark, not two. Oh, I like that green. All right, I'm just gonna hit that button. Yeah, we've got an aha. All right, cool. So now that will pop up. Please supply a value. And then you would type it in, and then you'll go create project. And I think what we'll probably do is when a person moves away from that field, we'll check it then. I think that's going to be a better solution. Isn't that right, Socks? You're like, nah. I heard something. All right. Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot better. All right. I'm going to see if we've got anything on. So, on the on. Unfocus. Do we have any unfocused drag to the drag? Empty focus, focus and focus out. Check validation. I'm going to hit refresh. All right. No. That's probably not a method, is it? No, it's not. All right. Not a problem. So what we've got to do, I'm just going to, oops, clearly do something wrong. You know how many times I have to hit undo just to undo that really silly thing? I don't know. What I want to do, I want to ignore that at the moment. I want to ignore that at the moment too. And what I want to do is I want to go function check validation. And essentially we're just grabbing all of this. Get the linter to do all the work. And then we are going to hit refresh. I'm going to click on this and then we're moving. Aha! I think that will be a little bit better. That way, what I could do is I can do it when someone changes something, but also lose focus. can also do it after a certain amount of time. So, for example, if someone is typing out something, we can then make, or the instant that they change something, yeah, we could potentially do a V on after change. No, change. Check validation. So as they're typing stuff in, it'll also validate it. So for example, someone clicks in there and then they're like that. Still didn't like that. After input, before match. Spin, submit, install, select, seek, scroll, resize, rate change, pointer, all of that kind of stuff. Play, pause, mouse. We've got a bunch of stuff we can do. Input. In that case, that shouldn't. Yeah, all right. Oh, all right. On key up. All right, cool. No, I like that. Now, going with your let's make the button unclickable when all the fields. I think doing it this way without having the trigger on the submit button, we can easily achieve that. It's just, I've got to think of a better way to do the if statement down here, the disabled sort of V bindings. To check to see if all that form is currently filled out correctly, or valid, I should say. And the one problem is I want to make these text components very generic. So going forward in the future, we could potentially use this one and say, hey, we also need this to be valid against emails and this and that and so forth like that. Instead of actually having a email field and so forth like that, we have stripped down very basic components. I'm just getting rid of everything we don't need anymore. Because then, yeah, if I have that, we can then do specific messages. We can then translate those specific messages. Yeah. So that's working. We don't need the check validation anymore. That's getting out of here. That's no longer a thing. But yeah, I need to figure out a way, if I have multiple fields and multiple more complicated fields, how am I going to check validation of those? So yeah. But I think that's an extreme problem. MQN username got suspended. Oh. All right. Anyway, I am finishing up. I am going to have to put that in as a screenshot. All right. I'm just going to I'm just going to download that. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It's straight into downloads. I'm just going to do that onto that. I'm just going to go take a screenshot of that. I'm just going to download that. All right. Cool. All right. Anyway, let's raid someone who's timing. Let's just say that. Raid. All right, cool. So, oh yeah, they're still running. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight. We got a lot done. So yeah, I'm getting happier and happier with the design. Now we just got to fit everything into this. Once again, once we do this one, we then got to do the new project one, and we'll get everything fleshed out and happy. And then yeah, I'm hoping to move on to the back end soon. There's a few other things that I've got to jump on to 0314. We've got to update the libraries and all that kind of fun stuff. We'll be doing a release very shortly. But yeah, everything's looking really, really good. Anyway, thank you very much. Let's raid on through. Raid has been created. Yep, raid. All right. And for those on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. Sorry that we've got the issue with the suspension. I'm going to fix that up.